Is that a specialized mic for picking up the whole room, or just a regular?
Well, it's a higher quality microphone that has a microphone this way and a microphone that way with a kind of a dispersion pattern, so it does pick up stuff better. Certainly better than any mic that would be on the laptop.
Well, yeah. How much was that thing?
I got it used.
More than $100?
I don't think I spent more than $100 for it. Yeah. I don't really use it for recording anymore. I used to lunch or something, you know, I'd set it up. I used to record stuff at Panera and this and that.
Yeah. But you just use it for Thursdays and put it on YouTube?
That's it. It just picks up a better signal for the YouTube thing. Yeah. Yeah. Hello. Hey, Ben. Did you resolve your accounting math with the treasurer?
Yeah. I decided to yield.
Uh-huh. That's one way to go.
Before yielding, the gift is it drew out all the micromanagers' behavior.
Yeah, sure.
So now
Right.
I get to point at something and say, this is helping the church.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, somebody saves the church $700, and because I want a little bit more to cover business expense,
Right.
you know, the guard dog is going to sink his teeth into my
Yep.
ankle. Huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But then I thought, you know what?
I thought you would forgive me if I stayed out of it.
What's that?
I thought you would forgive me if I stayed out of it.
You know what? I trusted that that was a wise move. And it was. Because technically, he would say, hey, that refunded money for the materials I took back.
Yeah.
Credits to Pebble, not to myself.
Right.
So that was the last request I thought would not have been protest, because knowledge just prior to that. I should follow procedure, you know, change things instead of at the last minute. They're doing it from an executive level, requesting it, you know.
Sure.
And so it's like, okay, that's good, because the next time it would be like, you know what Robert's Rules of Order are?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
everybody having a voice, and
Yeah.
something being decided on and followed through.
Yeah.
Do you also remember who's working for who?
Yeah.
Did I tell you what Wendy said?
No. What did she say?
I work for Alan.
Oh,
I said, excuse me, I believe you, Alan, and you work for the church.
right. Yeah. Huh.
So they refused that executive order
Uh-huh.
and allowed the drama to continue. And I, at first, was digging in for a war.
Yeah. Yeah. I could sense that, probably for good reason, maybe.
Carolyn basically said, look, I'll write out a check and then they can reimburse me. I said, oh, and let them off the hook, huh? I said, no, I will not have you
Yeah.
do that. It's, I will, my account will be consequenced and the process will reveal
Yeah.
whatever problems it has.
It's shadow time.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because I didn't want to expose it in the council process because
Right.
I've already had support and,
Mhm.
And could have had it passed originally without all of this. But
Yeah.
again, the gift of this is vetting out the micromanagers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it increased by one.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Joanne got converted in the process.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, there you go. A little suffering leads to a conversion.
It does. And, I went from thinking, I don't want to be part of that anymore, to, oh, that would be the easy way. And I'm going to be a quiet part of it.
Yeah.
And be a watchdog for process.
That's right.
Not let anyone get into that mess or informal votes on, through email without any discussion.
You can participate in life or you can run.
Yeah. So, yep. So it turned out to be a gift
Good.
to Pebble, turned into a little bit of agita.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were in Arizona for a while?
Yeah.
Far out?
Yeah. I drove across with Colbert.
Oh, sweet. Uh-huh.
Colbert's folks live out there and they're buying a hotel, probably.
A hotel.
Not in Phoenix, but 60 miles out.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of in a small, blink your eye, it's gone
Right.
town.
Which direction from Phoenix?
I think south.
South of? Okay.
Yeah, south and east a little. And Gila Bend, it's called.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And they're hoping that Colbert will get involved. He's open, but it's like, you guys have been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
You're going to do it or not do it. I'm going back.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to have his vehicle out there. So.
Just in case? He stayed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the fact he's going to be out there a month.
Yeah.
So yeah, in case he stayed.
So you were invited along as a friendly companion?
Help him drive. Yeah, we travel very well together.
Great. It's nice. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Traveling lightly like
really,
that.
Really easy going and light with things.
Yeah.
As long as nobody tells us what to do. I think we're both.
The two of you. Yeah, you're safe as long as you keep the windows rolled up.
If nobody tells us what to do, we're great.
Yeah, we're just so happy.
Two easygoing guys. Nobody wants to control anything. They're like, sure.
We're a couple of easygoing guys.
Yeah. Wild and crazy guys.
Uh-huh. Nice. So you drove back with him then, or flew back?
He got me a flight back.
Nice. Good. Far out.
Yeah, so I had a little adventure.
That's nice. That's great.
Again, interrupted by some communications before Thursday's council.
Yeah, yeah.
So I should have just turned off.
Right. Hindsight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's good to have a little karma to get you out of bed in the morning.
Oh boy. Yep. Karma drove over my dog mower.
Yep. Oh, yeah? Don't they know the meeting starts at 7:30? Nobody gives a fuck.
Just haven't put an extra $1 per minute in.
Oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna raise the rates. I'm gonna raise the rates.
Be like, yep, take your time.
Well, it's these two. If they meet each other in the parking lot, they're gonna start talking about politics and ketosis and Social Security, you know?
These two,
Yeah,
don't presume to know what we're talking about.
okay, I take it back. I stand corrected.
Oh, boy.
No, you sit correct.
I sit corrected. In either case, I'm corrected. Whatever it is, I'm corrected.
Or whatever it is. I saw a guy the other day, had his t-shirt on. Said, if a man is alone
Oh, yeah.
in the woods
And the tree
and his
falls.
wife can't hear him, is he still wrong?
Yeah, you really butchered it, but.
Yeah, you did. That's something
Yeah.
that goes around.
Your joke-telling skills are
What did the
legendary.
t-shirt say then?
That was good enough. We get the point.
Joke.
What did it, you didn't even see the t-shirt. This
I've
guy
heard
had a
that joke.
t-shirt on, and that's what it said. If a man is alone in the woods and his wife can't hear him, is he still wrong?
I don't think that's quite it.
That-
I don't know what
See,
it is.
you gave them the instructions and they're still arguing with you. Yeah,
It's too
I
Yeah.
much.
rest my case.
yeah, that's all I need to say. That's right. Yeah. No, they'll fight. They'll just keep fighting. You just pretend they're in the forest and say, can't hear you. Can't hear you.
You're forcing me to look it up.
I'm not forcing him to do anything.
That's true.
Yeah.
Psychological.
These days, everyone ends arguments with Google.
That's right. I'll put it back. You're right.
Yeah, really. Yep.
Oh, you guys killed the conversation.
Yeah. You ran it into the ground.
Somebody had to do it.
Well, one thing I did interesting in Phoenix was go to two Gurudwaras,
Uh-huh.
Sikh gatherings,
Nice.
with the kirtan and
Is there a big Sikh presence out there?
a sea of colorful turbans, scarves. I had to wear one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Scarf. Yeah, they're very well attended and growing.
Yeah.
And they had a visiting group from Michigan doing the kirtan, and it was amazing. They had more of a Muslim background, and that guy intoned his voice. I don't know what it's called when you go. It kind of goes up and down. Well,
Hmm.
I'm not doing it the proper justice.
We got that.
You got the idea.
Yeah.
I'm making irritating sounds. They were making profound, elevating sort of
Nice.
altered state sounds.
I don't
And
know. It kind of perked me up when you did that.
Yeah. Do it again. Do it again.
yeah, like a bee, buzzing next to your ear. It was powerful. It was really, really something.
Nice.
And then the lunger was good, getting fed.
Oh, yeah, yeah. They
Just
feed
like-
you well.
Just like the Hindi temples, you're sitting back to back, row
Yeah.
by row, and
Okay.
they come and they give you various things.
Nice.
So, that was one of the highlights.
How long were you there?
I was there about a week, and once I landed, which was Monday night, left Monday afternoon.
That's great. You left before you arrived.
Must have been a fast plane.
Yes, that's right. It's like a zip file in reverse or something.
Mhm. Well done.
How to save time and have an experience.
I'll show you time. I'll show you.
Yeah, like Groundhog Day. Right? Just have a different song. Oh yeah, 102 in the shade.
Yep.
Yeah, I figured it'd be something.
Well, you got to respect that heat.
Yeah.
I liked it for short periods, for sure.
Hmm. Themes, topics, wonder, complaints.
Just the same old, you know?
Pretty much.
But if you have no memory of anything, it's always fresh.
Unburdened by memory, unburdened by expectation.
You're like 51st dates. Do I know you?
Well, you know, there's this person I knew from, she was my neighbor when I was growing up as a little kid. She just is always putting these things on Facebook about her wonderful daughter and all these cliche kind of things. And it occurred to me, like, after a long time, many months of seeing these things, she has a daughter who has, what do you call it? Down syndrome, I think. I think it's Down syndrome. She probably is doing that because I don't know if the daughter remembers or whatever, but she's simple, you know. She sees that, she appreciates that. I'll never, you know, it took me a while to realize she's doing that, presumably, I don't know, but doing that for herself. She's doing that so her daughter can see it, and, you know, her daughter's not going to be tired of it. That's sort of like that. You know, same old, but in that case, it's maybe a little fresher.
If there's the aroma of innocence, it's fresh, and you know, when we're jaded by habit and fatigue and knowledge, it stops being fresh.
Yeah, freshness.
Even as the texture of fresh gets coerced or turned into some kind of, you know, advantageous communion, then it loses the fresh. Right, once the acquisitive nature of my being tries to attach to or derive from, acquire, store, make my own, then the freshness diminishes because now it's an object of acquisition rather than, right, open and evaporative.
Yeah, it's a whole different
Yes.
thing.
Just arrived from Virginia?
Not just, but yeah.
Yeah. Haven't seen you in years. It's like you gave up on us or something.
Oh, nice. You brought us a foil bag.
Did.
There's no carbs in there, right? That's carbs.
They are
Out of respect
gluten-free.
for me.
Another
They're
tinfoil
gluten-free
hat.
lime crackers.
Oh, gluten-free
And those are
lime
like-
crackers. Well, no one in this room can eat them.
Cashew bread.
We've all gone keto.
They all caught the keto.
Ketosis,
Yeah. Would you like to have a lime chip?
lime chip, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm going to toss this over to you. Ready?
We're gonna do the soul. Oh, I see. I get
I have
that.
more lime chips.
That's lime.
Now it's lime crumbs.
So the green smoke. will
Sorry.
come out.
Lime.
You're on TV if you don't mind.
Usually you don't have it so far over this.
Yeah. Well, let me see. I'll see if I can take you off the TV.
There we go.
There you go. You're no longer on TV.
Thank you.
Lime chips.
Gluten-free.
Yay.
Well, I just really want to, it won't hurt you. Seriously, have fun.
Just smell
I'll try a
them.
little taste of one.
Just give them a good smell.
There you go. That's not going to hurt you.
I'm in ketosis. I can't eat this.
I can't eat this.
Oh, Ryan, you would like these. Now watch, he'll say he does.
All right, thank you. You're gonna have one?
Yeah, I can-
No, not for you. You're good.
What happened to the box they were?
They're a Costco thing, so there's 2 of those in a box.
Yeah, Dave got the other one.
He doesn't do lime, they gotta be plain. So.
Oh, that's right. It's lime. He won't touch
Yeah,
them.
you don't touch it. Too much flavor.
That's good.
So it all started with being on the beach, and somebody mentions the whatever noble truths of the Buddha, and one of them is life is suffering, and I start crying.
Great.
And I'm listening.
You always get the most mileage out of everything.
Jesus. And I'm like, I was hoping he wouldn't notice, and I don't think he did, but I've been listening to Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run.
Oh,
It's really good. It's his autobiography, and it's like 18 hours worth of audio.
oh, sweet. You're listening to audio of it?
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
Like, he is so friggin' poetic. He's just gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
his words and the way he describes things. And I'm totally enjoying it, but
Yeah. Who's reading it?
him,
Oh, nice. Bruce actually read his own book?
yep,
Oh, that's terrific.
it's really good.
Yeah, it really helps if the author does.
Yeah,
Especially him.
that's cool.
But, he covers different, from when I was in high school all the way through up.
So you were on the
today.
beach with Bruce Springsteen and he was talking about the Four Noble Truths and then you started crying? I would have too.
When you get the 4 noble truths from Springsteen.
From the boss.
it's all
That's
fucking
right.
over.
Yeah, that's right. Life is suffering. You're so right. I love you. Sorry, go ahead.
And I know it's, fuck, I don't know anything. I
That's
really
right.
don't know anything. Not a thing, that's why I'm here.
This is not going to help.
No.
But you can notice the absolutely formidable reflex of insisting on a frame of reference for what you call your experience. And that's a big yoga. If you can actually spot the reflex of manufacturing, associating, projecting, promoting, believing in, reinforcing any kind of frame of reference for your own present experience, well, then, you're creaturified. And you're telling yourself and everybody else stories that justify the presumption of your so-called individual existence. To see that without the force of narrative, without the force of persona, that reflexively creates and or hallucinates frames of reference for your so-called experience, you really, really, as in really, really, really don't know what this is. And there's no need to defend yourself, justify yourself, tell a story to cover a story, like tell a lie to cover a lie, or reach into your, psychiatric bag of tricks to pretend that you can actually report on yourself, to yourself, by yourself, about yourself. Seeing merely the undulating nature of reference, implication, time, emotion, and everything else that accompanies that. It's a throbbing quality of, identification projection, or identification reinforcement. And it's as empty as a sack of apples at the Ohio State Fair. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but it's pretty empty. You are pretty empty. You're like rockin' empty, crazy, scary, empty. And that, you could say, is the beauty of it. But now the beauty is not ascribing a quality to, let's say, objects, though objects can be quite beautiful. The beauty is the cessation of persona and the absence of any particular quality. That's the beauty, which is not object dependent. It's not subject dependent. It's just this, the beauty of it. The whole tragedy of humanity, for as long as it may persist, some might suggest it's not going to persist much longer. Some are not worried about that. But for as long as it may persist, it is appearing in this quality-less beauty. Mind is I don't know, besides being a sack of shit, mind is, the perpetual complainer, the perpetual identifier, the perpetual proclaimer, and the perpetual recipient of, forces either under or outside of your control, all of which have some kind of implication, whether it's pleasant, neutral, or unpleasant. And we writhe in this, you could say, self-afflictive hysteria, improvisationally, impersonally, without motive, really. We're insane without motive. And being insane is not, it's not a survival mechanism. That's bullshit. And it's not a reaction to anything. That's bullshit. It neither brings you anything nor relieves you of anything. Being insane is itself. It doesn't have a reason, a cause, a genesis, or a purpose. You're just insane.
In the insanity, it's all full of reaction, though.
Well, that is the insanity.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that if the Buddha would have thought about it another couple of days,
Yeah.
he would have said,
Fuck it.
Mind is suffering rather than life is suffering? Or
Well, remember
remember
the Pali, if it was indeed Pali that he was speaking to get his insights across. I don't think the Buddha stood up one day and said, I got these 4 fucking truths, you got to check this out. Okay, and here they are. Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
Remember, the written record of the body of insight came much later. And the oral tradition of Buddhist teaching was sung before it was written. And so what we receive as the Pali Canon, or whatever, books you want to go to, are somebody else's idea of what the Buddha may have actually spoken or taught. And who knows, they might have overheard him speaking to, a friend on a log. He wasn't speaking to the universe at large. And maybe his comment was, this blows. And they were like, oh, life is suffering, and he might not have intended it. So you don't really know what he said or meant. But then one becomes you become kind of like a convenience store clerk, presuming that what's on the shelves, has some reason or purpose for being there. And it doesn't. So sure, a more refined exposition of that insight could have been, right, mind is suffering. Delusion is suffering. Suffering is suffering. It didn't have to be life is suffering. But when you look into, insights around the nature of dukkha, suffering, unsatisfactoriness, there was a lot of exposition about dukkha being having to bathe the thing and feed the thing and clothe the thing and present it, to an employer, right? Just the sheer maintenance of the biologic is like, of course, being the recipient of a lifelong sentence of experiencing, he was like, jury's out. Are you having a good time? Or, would you have made another choice if you'd known that this would be the way that it is? Right? Before you were born, if someone had said, so you want to go another round? You might have said, I'll pass, lime chip, and I'm good. So who knows? Your one is, human consciousness, human memes, the dubious gift of symbology is insane by nature. And even insane, of course, is the liberty of a value judgment, isn't it? Maybe it's just, ouch. Maybe it's just deluded. The way that it's deluded, it has a hard time coping with what we might refer to as reality, as contrasted with, right, a mental projection of one or a million forms of hysteria. The inability to rest or resolve in the irresolvable and instead dwell mechanically in an arena of one's own imagination. Whew. Most of the spiritual grasping that goes on is just another form of assigning a frame of reference to the unspeakable beauty of it all for the sake of orientation. So let's say I don't like how it feels at the coal mine. Well, I'll start going to the Vipassana club. And the Vipassana club's starting to wear a little thin. And so I read Autobiography of a Yogi right? If there were such a thing as realization, and hopefully there's not, but maybe there is. I don't know. It's possible that it would have absolutely nothing at all to do with the inertia and hysteria of human symbology systems that are all involuntary and impersonal.
That wouldn't be what I would first expect.
Not really. No. The first time you read, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, you might be on a tear. You're not quite ready to see that the entire implication of being is specious. How free do you want to be? I mean, is there something that really insists on resolution? Or, emotive closure? Forgiveness? Healing? Kirtan? No, not really. No. There's nothing. There's just, whoa, whatever this is. Which of course includes, the full pageantry of everything that everyone's doing and not doing, and what they say and think about it, and whether they successfully enroll you in it or not. Or whether they flip you the bird because, you're not on their wavelength. You're not believing what they believe. You'd be lucky if they just flip you the bird. The next thing they do is send a drone over your neighborhood and kill your children. I mean, we be bad. We be some nasty motherfuckers. And that, you know, the violation of someone else's dignity through, you know, the machines of war is just an unconscionable tragedy of the, right, contention of human symbology. And yet, you know, while those of us in the room are not particularly violent and don't, you know, work for, let's say, egregiously violent institutions, we're all in it, aren't we? We're all in it. If you're not out on the corner in the middle of Doylestown with a poster that says war is not the answer, you may as well be quietly saying, yeah, war's not so bad. You know what I mean? It's not that we are particularly empowered, any of us, in any particular way, but you know that the whole social system, and I'm not just talking about, you know, these United States or the red states of the United States. I'm talking about the whole fucking shebang, no matter where you are. In a sense, we are all complicit, right, in the insanity of humanity.
That's what was getting me about that recording.
Oh. Okay.
The historical backdrop that highlights insanity.
Wow. Thank you, Sven. That's a really beautiful thing. I'm not going to repeat what Sven wrote, but it has a really randy quality to it.
Randy.
Yeah, this will get you, won't it? It'll climb right into your skin like a chigger, whatever those things are called, or some kind of parasite that crawls in your ear and then drives you insane, right? It'll get right in you. And you're like, I mean, it's not possible to cope with this, actually, is it?
Well, use of spiritual seeking and what you're going to get spiritually is just, it's like for me, it was armor against.
Of course. Yeah. Yes.
As this falls away, the armor falls away.
Yes. Yeah.
Ridiculously human seems to be in my face.
Yes. Yep. Right. And you'll notice that, you know, a certain, let's say, wave of, well, call it a wave of authenticity shows up, right? Because it has legs. It's not just a frivolous, you know, passing through. It's like, whoa, it really catches your attention. And it might be accompanied by, you know, emotional feeling tone and, you know, charging and discharging. And that is all, right, part of the poetry of so-called existence.
You don't get a pass. Nobody gets a pass.
No one gets one, and in a sense, no one really needs one. I mean, let's say for fun, not that I'm capable of it, but let's just say for fun, I had 10 seconds of, call it absolute fucking surrender. Right? There's just, oh man. With all one's insight, spiritual or educational, philosophical, emotional, right? Great insight gleaned through wondrous education and sensitive appreciation of the human condition, the so-called world over, right? You're like, it's too big. It's just too much grandeur. even in the midst of the tragedy of it all. It's way too big. You can't contain it. You can't justify it. You can't use language to put it in a box, right? In a sense, you could say that's, well, let's just say that's a gift, were there a gift of liberation, were there liberation, is like, oh my God. Right. A wave of intelligence or a wave of passion or compassion, a wave of intimacy that right? There's no words for you, is there? There's no words for this, is there? But sensing the quality of sensitivity that permits one's native or innate intelligence to feel the world in such a way is kind of nice. Kind of nice. But it's also accompanied by, the urgency, let's just say, of a certain quality of maturity. Yes, to feel it and feel it again and feel it again. That's your 10 seconds of absolute surrender, where you meet yourself or you meet the whatever the universe might be, absolutely undefended. Yeah. And whatever that might be, it's, way bigger than the imagination of my life, isn't it? It's way bigger than the imagination of my life and my belongings and my quest for security. Don't let this thing convince you of being human. It will try. Not that it's other than you, right? But in the sense it will try, just by virtue of familiarity, functionality, survival, practicality. It will convince you of the righteousness, of the usefulness, of the utility of being human. Don't let it. Right? Take the risk. Take the risk not to permit this, including the inertia of your own so-called consciousness, to convince you of being human. And then what does it feel like if I don't, reduce it to the, story of my body, the story of my mind, the story of my life, the story of my emotivity, my entitlements, my failures, my sorrows, as a victim and a perpetrator, of course. It's a step. It's an interesting step to take. How much of the, let's call it the world's major and minor religions, encourage and emphasize the companion intelligence of transhuman sensitivity? Most of them just harbor and play whack-a-mole on shame. Even the Buddhists do, even the Hindus do. Maybe even the Kashmiris do, and the Dzogchenners do, and the Neo-Advaitists do. You know? There's all this fucking shame-based underlayment in all of these, you know, crap house teachings. Yeah. Yeah, I sent my my 5 mindfulness practice vows back to Thich Nhat Hanh and said, I don't want these anymore. You can have them.
You're gonna give up your diploma?
Yeah.
You stop struggling.
Yeah, I gave up my diploma and my brown jacket and my lamp. Yeah. I sent back my various certificates to the places I received them from and said, I won't need this anymore. Not where I'm going. Not where I'm going. It's not that difficult, really. You know, it doesn't have to be a major thing to hand your human card back in. Say, shred it. You see, as a, you know, as the sense of self, the aroma of self starts to lighten up a little bit, loosen up a little bit, lighten up a little bit, which also means, you know, expand a little bit, take on a different attitude toward suffering that you didn't think you could handle a week ago. So your aperture opens. And then what is this actually? What is the nature of whatever the fuck present experience is? If you don't add anything to it, if you don't tell a story about it, if you don't convince yourself of having another moment to live, or what the implication of anything is. It's just crazy cool. It's nutty.
The story around it, there's just this and this and this.
Yeah.
Meaningless.
Well, let's say there's no judgment of whether it be meaningful or meaningless. You could say trans meaning doesn't rely on meaningful or meaningless. It doesn't require meaning.
And you can't have a problem.
Well,
It's not possible to have a problem.
yes, I mean, and even the, let's say, the notion of having or not having problems is, well, it's no longer relevant. It's okay if you have a problem. It's okay if you don't anymore. By the presence of problems or the absence of problems or the presence of meaning or the absence of meaning. Fuck you. It's really without measure. And as it is without measure, irresolvable, if you want to borrow from someone else's terminology. You can't reach a conclusion. You wouldn't dare. Because you're just right? What the fuck are you? Radiantly open, radiantly available, radiantly disinterested. You don't lift a finger to be or do or not be or not do anything. Because this is appearing improvisationally. And it's got nothing to do with you. You can find the appearance of a life that, you belong to or that belongs to you. But that's unreal. That's not true. That's a sitcom.
Or drama.
Yep,
Depending on inclination.
that's right. If you're not getting some good ratings over here, change the storyline to improve the ratings over there. You see how wonderfully we grip at everything and anything to enroll it in the imagination of self. The story and continuity of self, of my emotion, of my presumptions, of my religion, of my philosophy, of my cosmology, of my stuff.
I don't even know if I can take credit for that.
No, you can't.
It just seems to happen.
Doesn't
I
it?
don't know.
Well said. It
Yeah.
does, right? The angst of me, in a sense, has nothing to do with me, but try to shake it off.
It's sticky.
It's sticky, man. Right? Okay, so you see, so if I'm embroiled as the imaginary recipient of this improvisational stickiness, then I'm going to go to some kind of guru or teacher or healer to get rid of it.
Solvent.
That's right. Solvent. Sure. Yeah.
Solvent.
Yes. But if you're not on the receiving end of anything, including perpetual angst, yeah. Even wishing that some kind of suffering should be resolved, which we can understand as, let's say an intelligent reflex, entraps you once again, right, as the recipient of some circumstance that is somehow unnerving or unpleasant or, needs to stop or be improved. And I'm not trying to create some kind of, silly panacea. There's a fuckload of humans that are doing a fuckload of suffering. Not just, our white middle class, I can't find a pair of shoes at Marshall's suffering. I mean, some real dig in deep suffering.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. And cultures all over the world, where they're a world, all figure out how to survive in the way that they survive, or thrive in the way that they thrive, or care for their children in the way that they can, with whatever meager calories may be available. While those of us privileged to own weapons and then deploy those weapons out of theoretical differences, perpetrate immense suffering. And hey, I pay my taxes. I chip into the machine. I chip into the machine. I haven't left for Canada or wherever you think you could go to not be a member of the machine.
Good luck.
Thailand, India, where are you going to go? Where you're not going to be embroiled in, the machine of human endeavor, of human suffering. even if the likelihood of self-realization is slim, the heroic thing to do is try anyway. Not so much for the prize that someone might think is on the other end of the rainbow, but do it because it's one's sacred duty to apply oneself to the liberation of the soul. Regardless of your chances. Right? You don't back out and say, I'm not going to try because, you know, I don't buy lottery tickets either. Why should I want to get enlightened? I mean, you know, what am I stupid? I'm not stupid. Maybe a jackass, but I'm not stupid. Yeah. So you don't, you know, you do it anyway.
What's the alternative?
Yeah. Right. What's the alternative? That's right. Uh-huh.
Trump would say, what do you got to lose?
When you've turned a certain corner, you know, if you've crossed the event horizon, you're going down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you give it your best shot. You know, what do we have in a life but let's call it the miraculous gift, if there is such a thing, to lend our heart to something? I don't want to get all Kaylee Marino on the subject.
She's probably listening.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, she'll hear this. Right. That's right. Uh-huh. And a circus bear doesn't eat your face. I mean, you know, what are you but a, what would you call it? A phenomenon. A ball, all right, a vessel, an etheric presence of possibility. Well, far out, lend your heart to something.
The problem, to me, is defining what that is, and then you're back in the ballgame again. You know?
Okay. Yes. That's the conundrum of, right, a mind pursuing
the parses and
that's right. The parsing and deciding, or parsing and choosing mind manages to, you know, I don't know, dig its own grave.
yeah.
Right? As it fights to you know, escape from a paper bag, it remains in a paper bag. I'm going to get out of this paper bag. Not likely. Not that way or not. I've had enough of this paper bag. I'm out of here.
I want a different paper.
Yeah,
You're gonna get me a better
that's right.
paper bag.
Uh-huh. Then I want to get some kibbles. As soon as I get out of this paper bag, I'm going to get me some kibbles. And then I'm going to eat a bird. All right, then. Stay with it. Stay with the program. You know, you start talking about like awareness and consciousness and awareness, and you start using clever, you know, non-duality vocabulary. You're like, shut the fuck up. Because you see, we become object bearing. You can give me some really lofty speech. And what am I going to do with it? I'm going to objectify it. Yeah. Then I'm going to pretend that there's a path from here to there. I'm going to walk on the lotus flowers of your lofty speech from here to there. That sounds like a pretty nice paper bag right there. What is the point of it? What is it like to rest? And even rest is not necessarily important. You could say, writhe, chill, scream against the empire. Doesn't matter. What if your present experience has no implication? What if there's nothing in it?
Where could the implication go to? I mean, there's no substrate. There's nothing there.
Unless you imagine one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
good at that.
Okay. Yes, it is. It's good at that.
Yeah.
And you're you appear to be, I appear to be, this appears to be the collateral damage of, right? The miraculous skill to imagine context.
Well, that's the pride of being a human.
Okay. I hear you. Yep. Sure.
It's reserved for humankind.
All right. Well,
In context every time we turn around.
it's the pride of, what we might refer to as individuation.
Yeah.
Yeah. The human thing comes in later even.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. See, I used to think I knew, but I don't. Right. Where does the let's say, where does the original sin begin? With what? A bite of an apple, right? A shame about being naked. Talking with a snake. Have you been conversing with snakes? Busted. Mm. Are you made of anything? Really? Are you the consequence of something? Really? Have you been somewhere? Show me the photos. Are you going somewhere? I got tickets and a boarding pass. What should I do with this consciousness? I know. I'll go to the casino. You got locomotion and sharp teeth. Whoa. That's party.
Opposable thumb doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Right? It's amazing what you got. Locomotion, opposable thumb, sharp teeth, symbology. Yeah. I mean, you're beyond awesome. Like the Lego movie said. Everything is awesome.
Did you just kill Ann?
No. I just lied to you though.
It's an ancestor.
Is your ancestor? And saved, and saved days, and it was heading right towards him.
Yeah, I just glanced through that Urantia book.
Yes.
Holy freaking shit. I
Uh-huh.
heard about it. I didn't want to know what the details
What
were.
is it?
Urantia? Urantia. It's pretty famous.
Yes.
Depending who you are, but.
What did it say to you?
2,000 pages.
Hmm.
Their description of
Yeah.
our world and this universe and that universe, and the archangels came, and Jesus' message was this, and God's like this, and all.
Wow.
It's just like a 2,000-page monstrous freaking
Yes.
tome about cosmology.
Yep. Yeah.
Is it downstairs?
Yeah, yeah.
That's it for the little kitties, the little babies.
Oh,
too?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They pass it around from crib to crib. Hey, Bonnie, check this shit out.
700,000 years ago, whatever angel did this.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's right. Yep.
There's some real inspiration behind that, right?
I
Yeah.
mean, somebody was tripping balls when they wrote that.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that kind of shit. That's-
An imagination it's a tough thing to have.
Yeah, that puts Course in Miracles to shame.
Yeah, really.
Course in Miracles is need to step their game up.
Whatever present experience might be, you have nothing to do with it. You don't have to take delivery of present experience to place yourself in some kind of context or content. You don't have to be from someplace, from somewhere. You don't have to have any cogent or imagined idea about anything. What do we feel that will be left out if we don't have an opinion? What if you don't? What if you don't want or need anything to be next? There's no longer the slightest hint of anticipation in you. Strange, right? You don't manufacture the imagination of a world because there's no longer the slightest hint of implication in you. The acquisitive nature of mind paints with, broad strokes or a very fine brush, a rapidograph. Fine dots. and imagines itself to have been from somewhere and perpetually going somewhere else other than here, other than now. And if the reflex of implication or derivation is quiesced, you don't have a story to tell. The reflex to frame yourself as being vital or useful, vettable, validatable, worthy, worth it. Not happening. You're just not happening.
Symbology wouldn't even work. It would be totally misleading trying to symbologize.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
We rely on it. Apparently, we rely on it. We don't really know if symbology is actually useful or that it can be held somehow responsible for our great accomplishments as a species or civilization. It appears. But to think or feel or insist that the fascinating capacity of symbology is actually responsible for something, that might not be true.
And the evidence, if I could call it that,
Would
be that indications are that it's not true because the symbology doesn't seem to exist at moments here and there. And that's the undescribable.
Yes. Yeah. The lapse of symbology is, well, could we dare say it's curiously ongoing? Even though we are so, let's just say, involuntarily addicted to symbology, doesn't cancel out the curious observation that this is also lapse. There's no quarrel between the presence of symbology and the revelation of lapse. And yet we used, you could say, remarkable tools and skills of symbology, it appears, to build a car, to fly to the moon, or to pretend that we never actually made it to the moon. It doesn't matter whether we got there or not. You know, the pageantry is fantastic. Are we merely the, you know, complex outgassing of the miracle of photosynthesis? How many miles of arteries and veins and capillaries do we have? Quite a few, actually. And lymph and crazy chemicals. Where do we place consciousness or sentience in some kind of chronological compartmentalization or utility. Well, shortly after the big year, Mom and Dad got it together at the drive-in. And wow, it wasn't long after that that, you know, you were here. Wow. You sure it wasn't a stork or a pelican?
Millions of years and many months later.
Right. What is communion? What's it supposed to feel like? What are the Buddhist jhanas? What are they supposed to feel like? What do I actually become in the throes of an ayahuascan journey? And does the acetylcholine, which envisions various conditions of incomprehensibility, actually give me a reliable memory record to say what occurred? No, it doesn't. But having been to Peru, I got to tell somebody something about something, because otherwise I got nothing. And that's not just about going to Peru. You could go to the corner market and you got the same conundrum, right? You can stub your toe, right, on your kitchen table. You have the same conundrum as you would having gone to Peru and coming back and having, you know, something to tell somebody about something. Yeah, you want pineal activation. You want a shaman to stroke your pituitary gland, you know, or a svelte creature of your sexual preference to deeply massage your thymus. Is your capacity for wonder and revelation dependent upon anything? A warm bath, a good haircut, a jog around the lake, a ribeye with fried onions?
It always seems like it's dependent. How can I put it? You know, that it is dependent on the settling down of something. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I have no clue.
there you go.
It might be totally not that. You know?
Uh-huh. As much as it might feel or look or sense as being that, it might not be.
I mean, you know, I try to put two and two together, but
And that's gotten you far.
I know.
You have so many 2 and 2s.
Can't say I like tutus the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. That's why you dance around in them. Why are you wearing that tutu? I'm trying to put it together. Can't you see? You see, once you start blurting out some bullshit cosmology, like Peter Brown's cosmology, for instance, or anyone's for that matter, well, you know, now you have to defend it. Now it becomes the coin of the realm. It becomes the coin of the realm. You're like, Fuck that. You mean to tell me you can't get liberated eating a lime cracker? That is liberation. Do I have to have some insight into somebody's arcane philosophy and cosmology about the nature of whatever? No. I surely don't. You know, it's okay being the lamb, even though you were born a lion. What the hell? Simba wasn't suffering during those years of Kahuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata. Sarkuna Falata. I'm not good with popular culture. I use it as if, you know, I know it, but I'm a poser.
That was the one thing you had, your cosmology.
Mm.
Even that's a lie. Huh?
But I could try to sing Officer Krupke. When you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. Broadway tunes, Sangha. We just get together, we sing Broadway tunes, go out for a burger,
Hey, we
call it a night.
could just go over to the Yellow Barn Sunday mornings and deliver.
Oh yeah, we could. Well, we should all show up and sing show tunes to the Pebble Hill community.
We fit right in.
Show tunes with the Night Sky Sangha. Those people can't sing worth shit, but our heart's in it. And we have a drum.
And they bring angels.
That's right.
And they bring what?
Angels.
Sing something from the Book of Mormon.
That would be fun.
Let's see
Yeah.
how many angels you'll get then.
That's right. The feeling tone of your unconditioned condition is not dependent upon the cosmology. I mean, you are so, call it, fucking free. It's scary. And we spend, let's say, a lot of calories convincing ourselves otherwise.
Maybe because it's scary.
Maybe. Who knows? In search of the lost chord. We compound and confound the liberating signature of present experience by imagining that we know what it is. And we don't. Nor do we need to. So you have access to, let's say, perfect erasure in the midst of your to-do list. You see the reflex to try to make perfect erasure an object of self is no longer perfect erasure. Now you're once again tethered to the contrivance of an imaginary to-do list or an imaginary to-be list. In the future, this will be a scene, a diorama scene at the Museum of Natural History. Homo sapiens reaching for a line chip while discussing self-realization.
Minutes before the apocalypse.
Yeah, moments before the apocalypse. And little children will come up to the diorama and saying, "What are they doing, Mommy?" Those are Homo sapiens eating lime chips, hoping one day for self-realization. Wow, how primitive.
They didn't know that.
But they had fire then.
That's right. Wow, they had fire.
Not solar energy.
What happened to them, Mommy? They went extinct. Did you read? I read this thing today. It shocked me. It was terrible, really. An admiral, kind of, part of this Joint Chiefs posturing around the LGBTQ or transgender thing from the POTUS. This admiral said, "Drop a nuke on China if Trump told me to." I was like, that's a terrible thing to say.
Yes. Jeez.
I was shocked. I was like, oh my God. What a betrayal. What a betrayal. As if with the medals and the history of, service, this was an admiral, right? Would be quoted saying such a horrific piece of nonsense. And that the news picked it up and that, the asshole hasn't been fired. What a frivolous, horrific comment to make, to portray loyalty to the, right? Loyalty to what? To insanity? To the Constitution? To the right of freedom for Americans? What the fuck was the justification for such heinous criminality and stupidity? And yet, I'm sure there's so many red state folks just loving the shit out of that. Like, well, if we're not doomed, we deserve to be doomed.
Well, it'll go without nearly the scrutiny that it once would have.
There's, not that many voices remaining, let's say, that would hold, that person responsible for such a treasonous and heinous remark.
Well, if an opening comes up, I think that Trump will consider him for whatever it is. He likes that world.
Narcissists are insatiable. That you think our hell realm is bad. We are like skating through this shit. The clinical narcissist lives in an absolute hell realm. Why the species continues to elevate clinical narcissists to positions of frightening power, I don't get that one. But I'm just an
They're
accountant.
tricksters, These narcissists, they oftentimes
Yes.
beguiling.
Yeah.
Tricksters.
I mean, who else would go through the whole political process and campaigning? There's no one else running.
Yeah, right. No one that has any self-dignity would dare even do it. So maybe that's it. If you had a lick of self-dignity, you wouldn't go anywhere near it. So only a certain class of human being pursues, right? Power or control or political influence. The insatiables, the hungry ghost insatiables.
Unless they got pissed off when they were small, like Bernie, it's like, this is bullshit. I'm gonna stand up.
Right.
He's done that his whole freaking life. He hasn't changed his theme.
Yeah. Not to become too political.
Oh, no, never.
Oh no, never. No, we want to keep this. We want to keep this.
We
We want to keep this lofty and focused on the Bindu.
And let's get the Trump supporters in here. Damn it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So Adam comes next week.
Not this week. but the week after.
Yeah, a week from tonight. No, today's Thursday. This Tuesday. This coming Tuesday. No, after that.
No.
A week from this coming.
The 8th. He comes a week from Tuesday. Sorry, yes, comes a week from Tuesday. There is an envelope, by the way.
Oh.
And then has his retreat, right?
Yeah.
Far out.
Who has a retreat?
The Chackster,
Oh,
the Chacksmeister,
right.
falling open, dude.
I'm gonna miss that one.
Don't fuck around, fall open. Anything else? Anyone take any notes? Thanks for joining us out there, folks. We do appreciate your support. Bye.